Hey everyone, welcome back to another Lords of War video with Christian J. Guy on left, guy on right.
Yep.
We are going to be taking a look at the 2023 year in review. What products came out, what do we think of them, how'd they do, and then take also a look at the end of the video if you want to stick around to that long to see what we both got up to.
Yeah, we really suck at this YouTube algorithm, you know. We just make these
stupidly long videos.
That no one watches or whatever. Yeah. So another big year, probably, I guess. Would you say?
Yeah, when you actually
the busiest year. I don't know. It was the busiest year for GW, but it was pretty.
I don't know when you make the list. It's like it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's probably up there.
Yeah.
So for AOS, the year kind of started out with the kind of army release of Slaves of Darkness. So flushing out that range, which was really nice to see. They basically gave it a lot of like reimagining, new Chaos Warriors Knights, all sorts of new models. Long overdue. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. They got all the love, and that was another one of those like, wow, they really just kept it classic, and everyone loved it. Like they had the beautiful, what is it? The launch box with the I love when they do the unique art. It's not just like a front cover with like what's in the box. It's like they'll do some crazy design or whatever, just chaos symbol or something, and you're just like looking at it. You're like, I don't even know what's in here, but I need to have one.
It just looks good.
And then you're watching everyone else in the store looking at one and buying one, and you're like, I have to buy one. It's like it's ridiculous, like how that went, right? Like, and half of those guys, like I tell you, 100%, they bought their box and they put it under their bed because they were like, I don't have time for this. I don't even have the money for this, but I have to have it. And so, big success there.
I have to say, and I think we did a video on this, the Cities of Sigmar box or whatever. I was like, it's one of my favorite products. Like, not just like the specific ones, but the new, what do you want to call them, like early release boxes. I love them. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, so that was good, and now like 10 months later or 11 months later, a lot of people are playing Chaos because they finally got around to it, and it
kind of takes that long, right? Like to actually see like in a launch like mature into the tabletop or whatever.
Yeah,
there's actually a lot of people playing Chaos now.
Yeah.
And then you got, following that up, we'll just stick with AOS to start. You had my favorite release of the year, which was the Seraphon.
Yep.
I think that was like started in April maybe, and then came out with the rest of the stuff in May.
Absolute grand slam.
Just probably the most successful AOS release probably we've had in a long time.
Yep, probably since Stormcast.
It was wild. I mean, and I think it's following up on like the Soul Blights, the Slaves to Darkness, the Seraphon. Like they're hitting into like classic Warhammer vibes for people.
Yeah. Well, again, with all the old world chatter, I can't. The number of people, maybe it's just commenters or whatever, just people that are obviously like love old world. And I'm not belittling you or taking anything away, but like take a moment and just really inspect what's going on in Age of Sigmar, and you'll find the old world is all over it because all of their like releases in the last 2 years have been just. It's like, it feels like stuff, if let's say the old world was continuing and they never went into Age of Sigmar, I feel like the models they're releasing now would have just been the natural thing they would have released. And which is funny because those people would have been like, these are incredible, I love all of these because they have the old world label on them. Because like all of the vampire stuff, every single thing they've made, there's nothing weird. And I get people commenting like, oh, I don't, what are these weird AOS models? I'm like, what's weird? Like,
it's a skeleton. It's a it's a vampire bat. It's like the characters are vampires.
And the new Flesh Eater Courts is just basically a Strigoi army, and then all the vampires, they made sure that they made the majority of the new Soul Blade stuff, Blood Dragon stuff, and now I think they just previewed like a I don't know, some kind of Lamian type of vampire
she's super
lady.
Cool. Yeah, super cool.
So that's all So the Seraphon are just like another. I mean, everything in Seraphon we can port directly into old world. We just put them on a square base and it's basically.
Why would you ruin a good model?
I know though, they look beautiful there. Yeah, I know. Well, but seriously, they so that release was another, just like Slaves to Darkness was another. Yeah. Just like fire release. And
big nostalgia.
Everyone wanted
beautiful models. Kudos to Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And then you had the just going through with the rest of the year for Age of Sigmar. You had Cities just more recently.
Yeah, so that was my like exciting release because it's the Empire, or at least the start of what would be the Empire in Age of Sigmar. I'm okay with elves and dwarves featuring in the cities, but I think they would need new kits. I think if they just made new kits for those, which I'm sure they will eventually. They're doing the thing which I've seen them do, where they'll release kind of like I don't know, 2/3 or half of a roster in brand new models this year, and then next edition they'll do another couple of kits, and kind of that'll flush out the range. They do it, and we've kind of seen it with Seraphon and not Seraphon, Sylvaneth and Deepkin and some of these armies that kind of come out, or especially Lumineth too. Lumineth have come in several waves.
Yeah.
So that's all good. It's a cool release. They look great.
Yeah, so a big year for Age of Sigmar in terms of like getting armies out, which is nice because the year before I felt like I guess like we could also the effect box also recently came out. The rest of the range is going to be 2024 though. So, but almost 4 armies like with new models and stuff like that. It's a pretty good year.
Good year.
Did they release the Sylvaneth stuff this year too? The second half of Sylvaneth? I think they did actually. Yeah.
You think so?
I think it was this year.
Spirit Lancers and all that.
Yeah.
We'll have to double check on that. I feel like that was
maybe.
Maybe
man, it's a long year.
I know. Yeah, maybe. Jeez, yeah.
And then obviously with 40K, you had the pretty sort of like got what Age of Sigmar got last year, with just a lot of books. So like the first part of the year was some books. They actually had before the new edition hit, they had what was it?
Astra Militarum and World Leaders.
So 2 big releases.
Yeah. So unfortunate for the books coming out and then being nuked.
Yeah, that does
shortly after.
But the range, like the model ranges were fantastic.
The model ranges are good. Yeah,
you got to give it to them. Like World Leaders is definitely like I remember just the Khorne Berserker kit is just one of those like iconic.
Yeah.
You're like, how have they not updated this yet? Box sets.
Yeah. Those ones are always funny. Whenever it's a Khorne Berserker or Eldar Guardian or whatever, and they redo it, you're like, but you're just gonna make the same guy but a little bit nicer, and that's what people want. So
that's exactly what they want. Yeah.
No, the World Leaders was solid, and that. They really, everything about that was perfect. Everything looks the way it should, plays the way it should. I haven't had anyone really be upset about that release.
No, a lot of people are playing it. You gave them like some cool models, and then like of course like a big centerpiece, which I think is important for any release to have. Mm-hmm. And then the big summer with the new 40K Leviathan box, and then kind of nothing for a little while after that. It was I would say it's a weird summer.
Well, it was weird because August was supposed to be Legion Imperialis was supposed to fill that void, but it was so delayed, so there was just nothing. August was the weirdest, and then we were like losing our minds here because it was like another like it was a natural slowdown in just the economy or whatever you want to. I'm just gonna use that as a very broad macro word or whatever, but I feel like that was felt just in general. So you have like a natural like retail slowdown, and you have this absolute chasm where you would just die for anything to come out that was like and Games Workshop had that penned in, and then they couldn't release it, so it felt like quite a void. And I understand like when they release a Leviathan type of product or a new edition that has index cards and all these like must buys that people need, they tend to give their customer base some time to recharge after those types of like, because they realize like they're like, we can't do multiple $400 things back to back or something, because people just can't buy them. They can't absorb that product or whatever.
That's not how they act the rest of the year at all.
Well, that's Chris and I we do also commonly comment on sometimes it feels like every week there's another $240 Canadian dollar box or whatever. Which is also sometimes a bit crazy, because you'll have just these like bundle boxes, and you're like, why is everything? Because it'll be like a kill team one of those, and then a HH like battle force with Marines and Daredevils in it, and then there'll be a cities box, and you're like, like every item can't be like 240. It's just like insane, but. Yeah, so that was a bit weird in the summer for sure. So then when September came around, we were like, thank God, there's stuff again.
Yeah, it killed it. It like I've talked about this on a Guerrilla Military Games channel. We had a little podcast about it, but like I think it was a weird summer. It was like probably it was the least impactful probably like release I can remember ever having like in retail, like since I've been in retail.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want, obviously. And
for 10th Ed, you mean?
Yeah, 10th Ed in general. Like it was kind of lackluster, at least from my perspective. I think like just in terms of extra products to sell, and
it had its own controversies because of like the fact that they went in, they had to go in and patch the game. There was like a hot fix patch that had to get dropped to fix more devastating wounds or mortal wounds in general. So I think the problem with that is like as soon as the game launched, everyone's like the rule set's great, and then another month passed by and they're like, oh wait, there's some things that are a little egregious or whatever, specifically Eldar. And then as soon as those dumb stories floated around like, Eldar are banned in Germany or something like, and then because some one tournament.
Oh man,
that or whatever.
you love when that stuff gets to the hobby store level. You're just like, really, yeah.
So then you have literal people walking in who play one game a year, being like, "Oh, I don't know, I can't buy anything right now until they fix it." You're like, "You don't play them."
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Does your friend have Eldar? Do you have Eldar? Okay, I don't know.
Just play. Yeah. Anyway,
what's the problem here? Yeah. It's just funny.
We get the most. Just amazing takes here at the store.
Not problems
every day. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So once that got sorted, so you had like weird things where people were like first buying a lot of things, then they were in a holding pattern, and then you got like Marine and Tyranid players who were like, well, I'm going to wait now for the rest of the release, and it was just,
which was further away than usual. Like from what I remember, like usually there's like a big like right after sort of like launch, and we wait like
maybe the following month
till fall this time.
Yeah.
There was months in between.
Usually, if the big box came out in June or July, then August or early September you'd see the first two armies get their like stuff. But here it was October, late September, October. It was.
We did have to wait.
We were, and I'm sure there's other hobby stores that specialize in these products that were like dying for.
Yeah.
Give me something here, like
anything,
like
please,
you have to, like because by that time you've kind of run through your Leviathans, hopefully.
And not to be too Games Workshop centric, like it was actually a pretty quiet year for other companies as well.
It was,
So it's not like there was other things in the summer that kind of filled up the void of that.
No, and then for example, our store, we don't really, at least not at the moment. Time will tell. We might come back to it, but we used to do Magic. And then we came off of it because it was in a bad, I don't know what you could describe it, bad era for retailers. And then the COVID actually had exploded again. But we've been in like a holding. But even Magic has its like crazy market forces and things. And I think that was the only product this summer that was probably kind of doing well. But then it would. But
Lord of the Rings, right?
Because of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But then even then it would be predicated on whether we could even get any or whatever, because obtaining these products in quantities that you would need is like very difficult.
That's right.
Anyway, that's another discussion. But and
so
reinforces why we don't carry it very much. But anyway,
following up the summer release of Leviathan, you had Space Marines and Tyranids in the fall, which were great.
Phenomenal.
Good releases,
Nothing negative there.
Nothing bad there.
I didn't appreciate how much people would love the new Terminators or whatever. Yeah. I think because like on the surface you're like, well, it's just the old Terminator but bigger and a little crisper or whatever. But no, people wanted that, and it sold really well. All of the kits, the Jump Marines, the Heroes, everything, and then the Tyranids. He's probably forget about the Marines. The Tyranids is the rock star of all because they got all these new bugs and
they got a much needed core update, so like all their core units look great now. The ranges
and the goofy units got fixed and
exactly
look better.
Got a new big gribbly monster.
And they're good in the game. Unfortunately, we can't get. It's impossible to get Pile Wars and Borrow Wars or whatever. Now that I've become aware, is probably one of the most egregious unit in the game. Yeah, for its points.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I think this year, like Kill Team, like definitely established itself in my eyes as like it's here to stay.
A massive year.
Right? And they had a lot of amazing kits come out throughout the year, and I actually probably finally started to see people like actually playing it and being engaged in the game, not just like collecting the models to use in 40K.
Yeah,
which I think was a big shift this year.
Well, the big change they did in what is this 2 or 3.0? I don't know what you would call
2.0. Well, 2 point something.
What you call the version? Because I mean, Kill Team as a product has been around for a long time, but
that's true.
They in the previous Kill Team, it was like build your own Kill Team, and now it's like they're like set teams, and turns out people really like that because they can just buy a box and play with it. They don't have to think about the list crafting or what does what. They just build the models like the instructions say, and then they just play. And to the point where people actually tell me about like, oh, there's like Kill Team tournaments and stuff, and I was like, well, I didn't think that would happen, but that's great. And it's another vehicle for them to go for the design team or studio to just make up shit and put it in there. So you get like, they'll make up. They'll just package new wacky units, and you got like Chaos Beastmen.
And that's a great example. I don't think you ever get that unit if they're just releasing it for Chaos Space Marines. But because they're doing it for Kill Team, it's a great opportunity to explore this like more random.
Yep.
Like you got new Kroot models this year because of that.
Yep.
Kroot historically never sold great. But we can't keep the Farstalker Kinband in stock because everyone wants to play that one because their models are amazing.
They're great. Yeah.
Things like Kazarkin,
that's like that's a more like
that's a cheeky one though because people would have bought that anyways.
They would have bought that anyway. Like Kazarkin, yeah, they're very hot.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of other little releases. Like you had stuff for Horus Heresy come out, some like the Daredeo and Jump Pack Marines and. A couple of little things throughout the year. Yeah. Pretty quiet overall. For
the previous year was stacked, so they had to kind of like.
So I'm
Fulgrim, I guess technically.
Yeah, I'm hoping they kind of turn it up a little bit next year for Horus Heresy. I think you kind of need to keep the game. It'd be nice to see a second faction in plastic.
Right. Yep.
That'll be a big step forward for the game.
Well, we know they have the designs for it because they put them in Imperialis, so now you have to do the reverse.
Yeah.
To upscale it or whatever.
They literally said.
Yeah.
In one of their videos, we just took the designs from the bigger models and scaled them down. And you're but they're Solar Auxilia small models. So
right. Yeah.
Maybe they have those.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to what did you accomplish?
Oh man,
this year in terms of your own hobby.
This year.
Now that nobody's watching.
This year was a weird year for me personally. It wasn't a weird year, but it was like, would I say it was less? Maybe I was a little. I mean, I did have a baby, our second child, so.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was in March. So that probably not too bad. I mean, I'm actually fortunate that like this is the hobby store, and making these silly videos is my job now. So, so I have, I don't want to say dedicated time to hobby, but there is a little bit of time here. Although not as much as people think. That's a whole nother series we could talk about, running a hobby store. But so I do get afford some time. So what did I do? So I had kind of a. Oh, I was doing. That's right. So Hedonites got some new models in their book last. I think was that last fall or last. I don't even remember.
Could have been early in the year. Yeah,
early in the year. Point, so I finished off some of those, and I was playing those because I knew Cities was coming later in the year. So for the first half of the year, I was still like focused on my Hedonites. There was like a couple new heroes came out, and now so I was playing them. Well, I tell people I do this too. A lot of my customers is I almost like forecast my year, which sounds crazy, but I guess when
you're old, you have to plan.
Yeah, and look, and again, and I know Chris laughs at this, but I'm like being a professional at this hobby,
we're using that word very cautiously.
I forecast what my next year will look like, and it's going to be there will be Legion Imperialis penciled in for the spring after Deptagon, I think.
Yeah.
And which is perfect because likely AOS 4.0 will be June, July. So there's a nice block of time to work on nonsense that isn't related to that.
Absolute nonsense, yeah.
So that at least that up until that time, that's all sorted, and then we'll see what comes out. So I don't know. Probably maybe paint 2 figures this year instead of 1 or whatever. That would be good. Yeah, I usually paint at least 1 a year.
Yeah.
2 or 3 would be good. That's kind of continuing on.
That'll keep you busy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be like you. I'll be busy until the end of March, finishing my Seraphon and doing some ridiculous doubles list or whatever.
Yep.
And then I'd like to also. I've been building a little bit of Imperial stuff just to kind of cleanse the palette here and there, but I probably won't be realistically like get.
It's been a factory here between the customers here. There's like several customers are just. It's just a 40K. It's a 40K factory. I'm just watching like squadrons of Kratos and Rhinos and I've seen people sit down and build several 2 to 3 or 4 Thunderhawks, and they're like tons of pieces. I'm just like this is a real war. Like,
it's real.
It's
yeah.
This is the factory is going. They're spitting out planes and tanks and shells, and they're ready for like a big brawl or whatever. So. Yeah, it's pretty funny how that works. Yeah.
So yeah, if I can get Legion Imperialis painted, I'll probably paint some new AOS nonsense in the new edition, and then Kill Team is a game I want to get into.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
year.
Yep.
I just want to try it out. I think it's been on the radar long enough, and the models are fantastic. Hey, do you want to split that box?
Yeah, we should.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
I was like, someone needs to buy my Marines or take my Marines.
They need to be Blood Angels.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Yeah. What are you guys working on? What did you guys get up to this year? What did you finish? And what are your goals for next year? What were some of your favorite things that came out, et cetera, et cetera? Put in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. If you have watched this long, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye. We got sounds of people opening the door.
It's
We
like-
got phone ringing.
Yeah.
Good.